What's up, y'all? Hey, so today we got a fun one. I'm going to talk about Rome. As you know, I'm a man, so therefore every day I wake up, I'm immediately thinking about the Roman Empire. If you're a man and you're not thinking about the Roman Empire daily, what the fuck are you doing with your life? Just saying. It's interesting. It's fun. It's great. And we should learn about it because we're kind of going through the exact same shit right now. So this one's going to be called The Fall of Rome. And I'm boiling it down to just a couple key points, and I'm going to relate that back to what's currently happening in this global ecosystem world shit show we got going on right now. And how this is basically a redo of history. Like almost verbatim. Like it's scary how close we are to redoing the exact same collapse. Like the exact same way Rome fell, we're gonna do it the same fucking way. It's beautiful. I love it. So I'm here. I'm here for the chaos. I hope you guys are here for the chaos. Just remember, love each other, and at the end of the day, we don't really have any control. There are people in a dark room somewhere that control all this shit, and they are trolling us in perpetuity for their thousands of years. So enjoy it while you're being trolled and understand what's going on. So we can look at it and smile and laugh and be like, they're so funny, they're trolling us. Okay? So first, let's start off with war. I'm sure we've all seen Roman movies, right? Military movies. We've all seen the guys, the Praetorians, walking around. They have beautiful logistical systems during the time. If you ever seen like ancient concepts of what Rome would have looked like, beautiful, immaculate, right? Crazy expansion. But the way you get that size, if you've never been to Italy, I've never been to Italy, but it's not very large. How do you get that many people, that many resources, that many slaves in order to build such a society? Well, you need a lot of war. And so that's the number one reason I have for the collapse of Rome, at least from the exterior of the empire. You see, they built such a large empire that over time, they got chipped away at. They got chipped away at heavily. And not to mention the way their system worked is, hey, we're at war, we need to levy an army. They raise an army, they pay their soldiers. Sometimes, in periods where they didn't have a whole lot of currency, a whole lot of money, they would pay their soldiers in land rights. Okay, so you wage a war, you conquer territory, then you give that conquered territory to those soldiers, and then the soldiers create a farm or whatever, a pasture, they can raise sheep, do whatever the fuck they do during that time. And that's how they can support themselves and the empire through military conquest. Now the reason I'm saying war as a fall of the empire, not the rise, because at one point war led to the rise. War is very profitable if you're winning. But war, if you're getting chipped away at and you're not conquering any new territories, well, it's a hefty cost. Because now your labor source for all of your agriculture, all of your food, now has to be constantly at war. They're not farming. So one of the biggest contributors that led to its collapse was the fact that Rome had to start importing everything. Like everything. They were importing shit. And we can see this now in America. Right now, today. Go to the store. Look at how much something that's made in America costs. Look how much something that's made in China costs. Alright? China. Alright? We have to become conscious of this because it's the same shit. If that's coming from a different country, if you purchase it, the money goes to Walmart or whatever, the store, right? It's mainly going to that company, okay? The profit margin. And then it gets distributed via wages, right? So some of the money stays here, but the product cost, Walmart or the company had to buy that from China. They had to buy it from somewhere else. So in essence, our money for this nation is leaving. And that's what started to happen, rapidly in Rome. Because they were constantly, huge empire, chipped away at. Everyone from the interior owned a farm outside. No food, import. Money, out. Not good. And this led to heavy instances of hyperinflation. Now, the fall of Rome happened over hundreds of years. So I'm not going to say that there was a select moment that, oh, boom, this happened and it collapsed and hyperinflation. No, there were periods of hyperinflation and deflation. They had multiple collapses like we would have had, like a Great Depression sort of collapse. They had multiple of those throughout history. They survived. And what kept them going was this constant state of war. They were able to just go out and conquer more people, get more slaves, keep the construction going. As long as you can keep people employed and you can keep conquering new territory that has mines in it, most importantly, because for their supply of money, they needed supplies of silver when they were on the silver standard, which then eventually, what really fucked them was they moved to the gold standard. They had no gold. Italy had absolutely no gold reserves. They had it within the private classes, some private institutions. Some people had the gold, but as far as mining deposits go, no, they didn't. So it was a very scarce resource and held by very few people, which is what we're going to get into sort of next, is the cultural collapse, immorality, and then religious cohesiveness, and how that relates to like the bourgeoisie or whatever the fuck you want to call it, the super class, the elites up here, okay? These people. So around the year, actually I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Let's do religion. So around the year 380 AD, that's when Christianity was essentially like codified in Rome. I believe this was Constantine that did it. Now, when this happened, you had the old Roman pantheon. So you had Roman gods. Think of like the Zeus, the Mars. I'm going to get the names wrong, right? Because they went by Jupiter, Mars. They went by the planets, not necessarily like the Greek version where it was like Zeus, Poseidon, Artemis, all those names. But, right, so multiple gods, tons of gods, to new religion with one God, and then Jesus. Okay, and this caused a lot of religious cohesive issues, because now you have less than a third of the empire following this new religion, this new codified religion within Rome of Christianity, and the other 2/3 of the entire Roman Empire, which is huge at this time, is following the old pagan religions. And so there's a lot of issues that go on within the society at this time, because the early Christians were not so nice about their beliefs, believe it or not. They start burning a hell of a lot of temples. Lots of old works, authors, any type of writer, any theologist, historian, philosopher, anybody like that had opinions that were of the outside compared to Christianity, they burned them. They got rid of them. They went after them. It caused a huge amount of stress within the empire. And today, I want to say this could almost be related to how the woke movement is. I don't want to say we're necessarily going through religious struggles all over again, because most of the common religions have been around for a while. We're still suffering the same problems we always have when it comes to religions. They can't just get along. They can't seem to fucking get along. I don't know what to tell you. Apparently their gods don't practice forgiveness or something like that. I don't know. Where was I? But yes, so instead of the religious issues that we're facing back in Roman times, in today's time, it's more of the morality collapse. It's similar where you have one group of people that are destroying another group of people that were, what created the whole system in the first place, right? Rome was built by the Roman pantheon, and then you have this new religion come in, and they're essentially ripping down and destroying everything that was built before, okay? So what's the difference between that and the woke movement coming in now, where they're saying, hey, I understand this is how you guys used to do everything, but, that's racist, that's misogynist, that's transphobic, that's a little xenophobic, you hurt my feelings. Yeah, I just don't like your face, and your face looks racist. So therefore you are, right? That came in, And now our society is declining because a lot of people are scared to share their opinions out of fear that they will offend somebody and get canceled. Okay? So it's very similar. You have a complete divide going on amongst the populace, just like back in the day, where they're attacking each other, they're fighting. You have economic issues being caused by constant states of war, like, right, we're giving billions of dollars to Ukraine. You got the whole Israel-Palestine conflict going on, which, if you want to talk about religion and its impact on a society and empire and how we're kind of falling apart, look at our college campuses. You got kids that are supporting complete genocide, and then you have other ones saying, just fucking nuke them. And I'm like, yo, you're all crazy. One side is saying, all right, let's drop a bomb that's going to kill 100,000 people. And the other side saying, well, let's just get rid of all the Jews and just clean them out. And I'm like, whoa, why don't we just talk this one out, guys? Why don't we take a load off, I don't know, eat some hummus. We're hanging out with the Jews, so why not? And just relax a little bit. But no, it seems we can't do that. And that's why we currently are kind of going downhill as far as a collapse, because every single part of our society has formed sides and they're pushing back on each other instead of looking above the current state of problems. Because to bring this back to some energetic principles, right, you're never going to solve a problem from the state of energy in which it was created. So if you hate somebody else and they hate you, and you're constantly fighting and you're constantly in the state of hatred, are you ever going to solve the problem that is causing you to hate each other? Are you? While you're in that state? Or are you going to have to rise above to look down at what's causing the problem, causing the hatred, to then make changes to fix it? That's how you solve problems. That's how you move forward. Currently, that is not happening. And although I can't necessarily politically compare the two, right, Rome and the United States, because, well, firstly, they had an emperor, we have a president. It's a very different system. And there's a lot more people in office here than they had in the Roman Senate back in the day, right? So the aristocrat class kind of changed, but it's still kind of all the same thing. Because back then, one of the biggest contributors to the fall was the political side, the corruptness. There were a group of emperors during the decline that tried to stop the train. They tried to stop the train. They were like, dude, this shit is going to collapse if I don't make a change, and I need to come in and fix it, and they got killed for it. Greatest example of this, and somebody who you definitely have heard his name, Julius Caesar. You probably think that he was stabbed to death 23 times because he was just a tyrant, or he was a dictator, or he was the Caesar for too long and he had too much power. What they won't tell you is what he really wanted to do was build 80,000 plus free homes for immigrants and people coming into the country because they had a homelessness problem. He wanted to put a cap on interest per month at 1% to put essentially a stop on the usury system, which during that time, usury is what we would look at as interest today, right? I'm going to give you 100 coins, but I need 5% back every single month, okay? And then after a year, whatever the terms of the loan are, I need all the coins back. So I need my 100 coins, but I also need 5% of that 100 per month. He wanted to cap it at 1%, okay, to avoid usury. Because the issue with usury systems and why it leads to the collapse of empires is it's just constant devaluation of currency. I can't say this enough, and I want everyone to understand what happens when the U.S. Treasury, right, the Federal Reserve, when they print money, what does that do? How is that the same as a usury system? Okay, so you print money, you're increasing the supply of dollars. If you do not increase the supply of goods and services in the same ratio at the same time, well, now you have too much money for the same amount of resources over here. okay? And this devalues your dollar because now you have the same amount of dollars that you had before, but now there's less goods. Less. Even if it's the same amount, there's less total because there's more dollars to purchase said goods. So now the price of the goods increases. This is how it devalues your currency. This is why we're currently going through inflation. If you keep printing money to send it off to a proxy war, and then you're saying, oh, well, yeah, no shit, Chipotle costs $20. I wonder why. Well, it's because we keep dropping bombs, okay? That's why. Your Chipotle costs more money because we can't figure out how to hold hands and sing Kumbaya. That is the main reason. So, I feel like I'm jumping around everywhere. So, cultural collapse of morality. So let's talk about immorality real quick and the degeneracy that took hold of Rome. It's probably not covered enough, and my view on this is just my opinion, by the way, this entire video. So if you don't agree with anything, just, it is what it fucking is. All right, just enjoy the video. During this time, it was complete degeneracy. I mean, you see it in some of the movies. You go back. I love the show Spartacus, and you see the amount of slavery going on. You see the amount of sex slavery going on. You see like all the brothels, the whores, the homelessness, the gladiator fights, the constant blood and lust and greed and just death going on in this period. It's very similar to what's going on today, right? We have some of the most amazing sports spectacles you could conceive of nowadays compared to back in the day. Back in the day, you had to go to the arena. Well, unless they had some type of TV, and then we just lost that information to time and history, or it was burned and destroyed, so it could be subjugated for longer by the elites. That doesn't matter. But what matters is the fact that today we still have bread and circuses. We still have our sports. We still have our House of the Dragon. We still have our Rick and Morty. We still have all these ways that we can distract ourselves. And that's what the elites did back in the day. As the empire fell and as it descended quicker towards the bottom, they started to provide more bread and circuses, right? More fun for the population. So they were focused on that, and they weren't looking around and be consciously aware of what was currently happening. And what was happening was the complete currency collapse of Rome near the end. And one of the things that brought this on, going back to religion real quick, was the tithe. Hey! Hey, brother man! Hey, dude, come here. Come here. Let's not do that, okay? Let's not do that. Okay, let's just relax. Alright, so where was I? So the tithe. So I believe this was as well, was it Constantine? I was about to say Constantinople. But during the time, they put the tithe in place. Now the tithe was 10% of your income you have to give to the church. Now over a period of 100 years, maybe a couple hundred years, whatever it was, the Roman Church, the Holy Roman Catholic Church, the Vatican, was able to amass over 50% of all the wealth and all the land in all of Rome. So this small church had pretty much the control of everything. And then other than that, all the wealth was controlled by maybe 2,000 Roman families. Other than that, everyone was poor. No one had anything, so it was 1%, and then there was 99%. And the 1% controlled absolutely everything. And so when they say, oh yeah, Rome fell, Rome never fell, it just reconsolidated into the Holy Roman Catholic Church. That's actually what happened. There was a wealth transfer from all the people within the entire empire to the church via the tithe, via the coin minting program, via the usury systems, via all the moral corruptness, because now as you get more corrupt into an empire, now the church can step in even more and say, oh, well, now you can pay extra money to save your soul, right? There was a lot of crazy shit going on during that time that led to the collapse. And so what lessons can we take from all of it looking towards today? Well, I think one of the biggest ones is the fact that our cohesion as a people is what is going to lead to our collapse. We keep looking left or right and wondering, we're like, oh my God, like they're so bad and I don't like those people. And the whole time it's just a waste, because at the end of the day, no one has any say. You get a vote, and even then, do they count your vote? Do they really? Do they actually count your vote? Does it matter? Does it count? So we keep ruining our day, ruining our psyche, worrying about other people and their opinions, even though it's like it doesn't even matter. We should just be focusing on brotherhood and loving one another and building and growing towards the future. Instead, we're ripping each other apart. We're ripping each other down. And it's just because of disagreements, right? And most of the time, these disagreements are out of a lack of understanding, because you're too interested in disagreeing without understanding what's causing the disagreement, which comes from above, all right? We need to look above to find out what's below, okay? We need to start doing that. Otherwise, we are going to collapse. It's probably already baked in. I mean, they've been planning this one for a while, but you know, all of these factors are hitting our country now. It's different, but it's the same. I mean, we don't call it usury anymore, but we have high interest rates, right? Inflation's out of control. We're obviously in a period of financial hyperinflation, and we still use usury. We still have interest rates. We still have to pay it on almost everything, okay? So that is the exact same. Corruption. Look at what the fuck? Look at what's going on in the regular political sphere. It's a joke. I am so happy I did not go to school for political science, or whatever the fuck that joke of a degree is, right? Because if I was in office and I had to sit there and I had to watch somebody fucking lie to me about the truth when they're breaking the law or doing something terrible, which goes against the oath that they swore to partake in the protection and the service to the American people, I'd tell them to bring in the gallows. I'd fucking get a guillotine in there. I'm the type of guy, I'd start chopping heads. You take an oath like that and you want to fucking be corrupt? You want to be a piece of shit? Nah, bro. We can't do that. But that's the issue with today's society, is we've allowed it to get so soft because the people have no power. You think that the courts are here to serve you. No, they're here to slow everything down and to protect the elites. No one can go after them. No one has the money to go after them. No one can survive the courts to go after them. They're protected on all sides. That's what we need to understand, is we're going into a period of time in which there is a complete collapse in the caste system. There is no middle class anymore. It's just going to be poor people and the hyper elites, okay? And then within that, the hyper elites are going to protect themselves with corruption. They have control of the money printers already, the Federal Reserve. They print the currency so they can devalue it for all of the regular people, and while they take it for themselves. And as things start to collapse, right, which could be on the future, right? So imagine real estate market starts collapsing, and you have commercial, and then you have the residential side. Yo! Dude, it's a lawnmower, my guy. Just fucking relax. It's every time. Don't wag your tail at me, you little fucking slut. Alright. I'm gonna punch this boy after. Alright, so, corruption. Jesus Christ, you need to stop barking. I lose my train of thought, man. I have no idea where I was. Okay? Somewhere with corruption and how they're going to use our judicial systems to protect themselves while printing more of the money, devaluing the currency, then as everything collapses, essentially they're going to take all that money that they've been taking for themselves, and they're going to buy up all that real estate. They're going to buy up all the assets, buy up all the land, and that's going to be the consolidation. That is the great reset that they want. It's where they just endlessly print money. It's bullshit monopoly money in the first place, and then they're going to use it all to purchase all the land that now we can't afford because of the usury rates that were slapped onto us, right, via mortgages. What happens when they pump those rates up to the point where no one can afford their home, and then you just have somebody like BlackRock swinging afterwards that has all the money because they've been profiting from this fucking system, and they just buy it all up, and then they rent it back to you for more money than what the mortgage would have cost. Because that is where this might be headed. And it's crazy. I mean, you just look at it across the board. I mean, the degeneracy in Rome, we have it here. The lack of education and the downfall of education in Rome, we have it here. You have the usury system and the devaluation of currency. I didn't even touch on that, but back in the day, they started to shave the outside of the coins. So it reduced the actual mass of the metal that was supposed to be in the coin, which was the perceived value of the coin. So you start shaving it, and then you take other like base metals, all this bullshit, and you melt it into that coin now, reducing the total amount of, like, let's say silver that was in it to start with. So the weightage, the tonnage of silver goes down, it shrinks, and the other bullshit. So just more cases of devaluation of currency. That's how they had the devalue back then, right? That's the same thing as printing more money now. Because what do you do with the excess pieces of silver that you shaved off? Well, you put that into another coin, okay? You're taking one coin, you're creating two out of one. That is no different than what the printers do with the Federal Reserve, okay? There is no fucking difference. They're doing the exact same goddamn thing. This is the same fucking playbook. It's the same goddamn one. They're gonna do it again. I mean, you can't make this shit up, dude. They get you into wars. Wars print fucking money for them. They say, oh, we have to sign another stimulus package or whatever that is. All that means is it turns on the printing press. They need money. They need money to send off to other places. So they have to print it. And then the American people say, oh no, but like that's in the budget. Motherfucker, we're 34 trillion in debt. We don't have a budget. Anything you see that's a spending bill means we're printing the money. So if we keep printing it, just know every time you see bill for spending approved, just realize that is synonymous with printing money. And printing money is synonymous with devaluation of your currency, because now there are more dollars in circulation for the same amount of goods. Okay? So your dollar is going to go less far, if that's grammatically correct. But I'm not on here for English. Fuck English. Okay? So, hopefully, in summary, what we learned today is Rome got absolutely fucked by themselves. On the exterior side, yes, the war led to a part of their collapse. But mainly it was the corruption from within, their overexpansion of their currency, and then the usury system that took their currency and essentially destroyed it because a few individuals on the private side were excessively greedy. And it's the same shit that happens today, okay? And then there was a lot of corruptness. There's a lot of nepotism. There's a lot of people being put into power and making decisions that were only for their own self-interest and betterment and not for the people. And this, over hundreds of years, as well as religious issues, led to a complete collapse. Which it didn't actually collapse. It just rebranded into the Holy Roman Catholic Church. Okay? That's where all the wealth went. Okay? The wealth didn't just magically disappear. It rebranded into the church. So, if we want to stop this today in America, it's going to be difficult. None of us really have the exact power to just say, hey, stop that. But if we wanted to, we have to stop fighting wars. We have to stop giving out money for bad purposes like war and for death. I mean, like, think about that. $100 billion. Everyone's like, woo, yeah, let's support that. And they'll change their Facebook profile picture to the blue and yellow, which, that stuff's all bullshit, okay? But imagine if you gave $100 billion to, like, I don't know, something productive, like new agriculture for countries that don't have food, or like building housing for people that are actually homeless, or I don't know, actually curing diseases instead of just pumping more of these little quick fixes that don't actually make you feel better, but you just build immunity to over time, and you just get sicker and sicker, and you never deal with the underlying root cause issue. It seems like what's plaguing America is the fact that it's completely run on the purpose to make money. It's run by the very few to make money. They have no interest in the peasants, you and me, the regular people, they don't care. They don't care. And so for us to take the country back, we would need to essentially clean house. We got to get rid of all the people in power and figure out who the good ones are and who the bad ones are. And then the bad apples, well, we all know what happens to bad apples. All right, guys, this is the Fall of Rome. Hope you have a wonderful day.